thanks again to the entire search and rescue team for all that they do. Lapeer County is a safer and better place to live, work, and visit because of people like them. The second item that I'd like to bring before you today is the introduction and swearing in of one of our newest corrections sergeants. So if I could, I'd like to invite Ed Gaines and his wife Corey Gaines up to the podium with me. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Sergeant Ed Gaines. Ed started at Lapeer County Sheriff's Office on August 29th of 2008. During his tenure with our department, he has served as corporal on both the day shift and the midnight shift. He's done tours of duty here at the courts, and he is currently assigned to the jail. Ed is a natural leader. With a rare vacancy in the sergeant's ranks, we had several outstanding candidates test for this position. Ed finished number 1 in a closely contested promotional process. When Ed returns from his much-deserved vacation, which I believe started yesterday, he will be supervising the midnight shift in the Lapeer County Jail. So Ed, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of sergeant in and for the County of Lapeer and the state of Michigan according to the best of my ability. Congratulations. And now his wife Corey would like to do the honors of pinning his new sergeant badge on him. She said she was going to take every opportunity to make sure this pin stays permanently. Congratulations, Sergeant Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. Odette. I just want to thank the search and rescue team. It's groups like you guys that make this community great. I truly appreciate you guys coming in and just doing what you did. And congratulations to Mr. Gaines on his promotion. And thank you again, Mr. Odette, for bringing everybody up. Thank you. Okay, any other elected officials or department heads like to speak this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners. I've been in the role as Register of Deeds for a month now, so I thought I would stop in. Sorry, Jerry, I can't see you. Thought I would stop in and give you an update as to how it's going. I am pleased to announce that it's kind of like riding a bike. I feel right back at home and comfortable with all my duties. I also wanted to bring to your attention, as well as the public's attention, that our software had the ability to have a fraud alert system implemented, and I chose to do that this week. Citizens have been calling, worried that things are getting recorded in their name and uncomfortable, and we had no way of tracking that to alert them. So when it was brought to my attention that our system had that ability to do that, I implemented that. We have a heading on our website instructing people how to sign up for that, because you do have to sign up for it. So Mr. Coleman, you would have to reach out with what name you want inputted into our system, as well as the email address. Once we get that into our system, if anything was recorded in your name, you would then receive an email alert. You would be able to contact our office, and we would be able to tell you what was recorded. So I'm pretty excited about that, and that's all I have in my first month. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Any other elected officials or department heads like to speak this morning? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go to the first public time. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak during the first public time? Clerk's table over there.
So I'm Karen Bershako. I'm from the village of Metamora. You guys might recognize me. I come back once a year to remind you all that the Lapeer County ORV ordinance is unethical. I get that it's legal. People made it legal. A previous version of this board made it legal to drive ORVs, off-road vehicles, such as dirt bikes, side-by-sides, ATVs, on most of our public roads. but it is unethical. And that's not just my opinion, that's the opinion of the people who make the vehicles. They want their vehicles banned from the roads. And on no uncertain terms have they said, use law enforcement to keep them off of roads, because it is not only a danger to the operators and passengers of these vehicles, it is a danger to everyone else on the road. So, Mr. Nisley, I'm gonna pick on you a little bit, because after I spoke about this last year, first of all, you said, I believe it was a sheriff's deputy, you'd asked about golf cart roads, because golf cart laws and ORV laws are different. I've got a little piece in your packet about that. But you repeated some bad information you got from that deputy. Hopefully you've read the laws and gotten that right now. But then you said you respected the rights of folks to do this. It is their legal right, that is true, but again, it's unethical. So I have a neighbor that I grew up next to who always argued that it was against his freedom that he's not allowed to drink and drive. Most of us in our society have accepted that it endangers other people. That's why we don't allow people to drink and drive, right? So I looked up the statistics in the state of Michigan. 2 out of 3 times there's a DUI accident. It's a single vehicle accident. 1 out of 3 times it involves other people on the road or another vehicle. Guess what? The statistics are the same for ORV accidents. 2 out of 3 times it's a single vehicle accident. This is a nationwide statistic. 1 out of 3 times it involves other people. So that is why there is no benefit whatsoever to having off-road vehicles on our roads. Another huge issue with this is I gave you this little booklet. You can look up the laws. I gave them to you last year. Many of our law enforcement officers don't understand golf cart law. They don't understand ORV law. And that is why I do this every year. I take the morning off work to come talk to you all and remind you those laws are out there, right? I also do this to remind you that the law is also unethical because it does not address child passengers who should not be in these vehicles. These vehicles have warning labels on them that say don't use it on the road. They have warning labels that say these vehicles are not designed to protect children. Last June 22nd, I'll never forget it, there was a side-by-side leaving our concert in the park in Metamora. I didn't realize it until later when I looked at my pictures I'd taken. There was a baby seat on the back of this side-by-side, facing forward, an infant on the back of the side-by-side. Everyone in my village thought this was normal and fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to speak this morning during the first public time?
Time's up. Sorry.
Carol Wood, Marathon Township. I know you're all aware that the legislature, Democrats, are trying to, I don't know if they voted on it yet, but to raid the teachers' retirement fund. And it just makes me wonder if they're not trying to break public education, which in my opinion it is broken, but break it all together so that everyone would homeschool. And now they want to pass legislation that they would now have power over your homes, because if we don't have public education and we just have homeschoolers, maybe that's their way of just getting into your homes. And all of these folks who are public education employees, now things are affecting them. Is it gonna be enough? Are they gonna do something? Are they gonna be mad enough at these Democrats who they voted for all of these years? I hope so. And I don't know if you know, but the legislature was in session until 5:43 this morning, and some of the things that they are in their budget: $2 million towards state electric vehicles, $2.4 million translate websites to foreign languages, $1.4 million for free tampons in men's and women's state bathrooms, $6 million and 17 employees to combat gambling addiction. They created the problem and now they're going to fix it. $60 million to fund high-risk startups, $160 million free housing subsidies, $6 million for the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, $3 million to address racial disparity, $10 to $50 million to minority businesses, $2.5 million to black male teachers, $6.5 million to Hispanic nonprofits, $1 million to make a Chinatown in Detroit, $10 million for the failing zoo bailout, $500,000 to combat starvation on college campuses, $10 million to plan a 250th birthday party, $20 million for free internet rights, $150 million to make voting more accessible. I don't know when enough is enough and when people will get involved, but, and I'd like to honor a friend. The lady who came to you last year to fix the building at the park in Dryden, Grace Gazowski, passed away on June 14th. And I would just like to honor her today because the first time she walked into this building, I was so happy. I'm like, Grace is here. I've known her for 20 years. Grace is here. She's full of life. She's a get done, she gets things done. And what's she up to? Why is she here? And she was here for her child to try to get that building fixed up for that child's wedding. And then at another meeting, she called me out in the hall because she had just received an email that said, sorry, we're canceling your reservation and you're gonna get a refund for that. I hope that that building is at least being looked at. That some of that land was donated by her family. So anyway, I honored Grace Gazowski today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to speak?
Good morning. Let's start this out right. What's the difference between a felon and a politician? At least a felon has some conviction. I've been back here at county meetings for a while. Mr. Zender knows I used to show up, disappear. And I have watched and heard things that are appalling. You guys started out by editing public comment and then denying that you edited. When a few of us contacted the server, a few people contacted the Attorney General's office, and then it was just watch your language because there's kids. I've watched a commissioner browbeat a department head over ambulance service and not collecting co-pays. And I would like to know, did the county ever collect a co-pay from the people in Emily City that called Central Dispatch and requested an ambulance because they were in an issue with their employer and needed to ride back to Lapeer? I watched somebody from the refuge come in here and raise issue about police officers destroying tents and sleeping bags of homeless. Not one commissioner raised an eyebrow. When I asked somebody after the meeting, no commissioner wanted to raise issue with that. I was told that those are all druggies and good families don't need to be exposed to that. Now, would it have been a different issue if instead of just homeless, we had attached the word vet to it? And all the families that are good families and don't need to be exposed, are those the same families that had children that were charged with crimes for, quote, hazing fellow team members in high school? And the good families were all upset that their kids might be charged and might have to register on the state registry? You folks had better back up and rethink where you go.
Anyone else like to speak during the first public time? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close the first public time. Brings us to draft motions from the committee of the whole meeting, June 13th.
I'll make the first motion, since it's going to require a roll call vote. I move that, as we did at the committee of the whole, that we establish the 2024 tax roll at $4,077,927,000, and that the millage be set at 6.6155.
Take it on support.
Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Howell?
Yes.
Commissioner Hagan?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Nicely?
Yes.
Commissioner Zender?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Chairman Coleman?
Yes. Motion carried.
On page 1 of 3, I will move motions 2, 3, and 4.
Support.
Any discussion on motions 2, 3, and 4? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motions 2, 3, and 4 carried.
Page 2, 3, I'll move motions 5 through 9.
Support.
Any discussion on motions 5 through 9? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motions 5 through 9 carried.
Number 10, it looks like is a resolution, so I'll move 10 only.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Hageman?
Yes.
Commissioner Howell?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Isaac?
Yes.
Commissioner Zender?
Yes.
Commissioner Mass?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, you get that?
Yes.
Motion number 10 carried. Motion number 11, 12, 13, 14.
I'll move items number 11 and 12 on page 3.
Support.
Any discussion on motions 11 and 12? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motions 11 and 12 carried.
I'll move motions 13 and 14 on page 3 of 3.
Support.
Any discussion on motions 13 to 14?
Just a comment.
Commissioner Hall?
Number 14 is the one that we discussed at the Committee of the Whole, which is a really important one, having to do with the Board of Commissioners retaining their jurisdiction as we begin the recycling program with the other 4 counties. So what number 14 does, the Commissioner Zender has moved, is to guarantee that there be no obligations made or any actions taken unless the full Board of Commissioners has decision-making authority.
Good. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motions 13 and 14 carried. Brings us to draft motions from the May 23rd Property Committee's meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend full board for Central Dispatch to purchase 5 Pentronic wireless base stations from Amazon at the cost not to exceed $2,700 to be paid from 911 millage account 482-325-977-00 at no additional cost to the county fund.
Support, Isley.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 1 carried.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve Central Dispatch to approve the use of Google Workspace Business Suite at a cost not to exceed $3,000 to be paid from 26-325-809-000.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion number 2 carried.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract between Semco Energy and the County of Lapeer for the use of Lapeer County Central Dispatch's radio system infrastructure and to further authorize chairman to sign said contract.
Support.
Any discussion?
The use, Commissioners, under the use of this Semco using our central dispatch system, that's not gonna cause any issues with any emergency services, is it?
No.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion number 3 carried.
I'd like to Make a motion to authorize the county treasurer to prepare and release an RFP for GIS services and bring back to Properties Committee for further consideration.
I'll support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 4 carried. Brings us to. Oh, that's an extra one. Tradition Properties Committee from June 19th.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to recommend to approve a renewal of the Access Michigan LLC contract at Central Dispatch at a cost of $3,626 to be paid from contracted service account 261-325-813-000 at no additional cost to the county general fund. And authorize the chairman, vice chairman to sign said contract.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 1 carried.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to recommend, to authorize emergency management to accept a donation of the E-Rail trailer from MSU to be located at the Lapeer County Animal Control Offices and to authorize the establishment of memorandums of the undergoing, understanding for mutual aid response with the Lapeer County Fire Association, member departments, and other existing mutual aid counties surrounded Lapeer County. MOUs will be brought back to the Board of Commission for final approval.
Support.
Any discussion?
What is an E-rail trailer? I've never heard that term.
Okay, so they were here probably 4 months ago, something like that. Extension was, it is a trailer, it is full of different equipment. There's livestock panels, there's different equipment for different animals. So if on the highway or, anywhere in the county, but if there was an accident involving animals, this would be a way to contain them. I believe that there's even some supplies in there for euthanasia, that sort of thing. So, and it's not just, cows or sheep or pigs or whatever. I mean, there's stuff for bees and everything else. They had a training probably a month and a half, 2 months ago, over at the fairgrounds, and it wasn't statewide, but it was geographic, like areas or whatever.
Yeah.
So what was there, 60, 70 people, something like that there?
It's probably close to 30 to 40, I would say. From within our county, we had, I want to say 15 to 16 between animal control, myself, and various fire departments that would be utilizing the trailer if there was such an incident. It just brings the ability for us to safely respond to those type of incidents rather than kind of wing it, for lack of a better term, with what we have. Yeah, it gives us proper equipment.
Yeah. Well, and
approach us
and
while
they
taking it.
and they trained you guys on how to
Handle
deal
livestock.
with different things, because even though, like Stephanie's animal control, not necessarily every animal control officer is used to dealing with different species of animals. Is that correct in saying?
Yeah, I don't know anything about bees, so. That was very educational. And once if we get approved and we get the trailer, there will be training on all of the equipment that is in the trailer. So they're not just giving it to us and telling us good luck with it, there's gonna be further training with how to use all the items in it.
And I do know you had one question during properties about, is there a contract involved, any length of period we have to maintain the trailer, and the answer is no, there is not. It's up to us, once we accept the trailer, to administer the program or the trailer,
Sure.
however we see fit.
That's very odd, but whatever.
But yeah, I did confirm, because I know that was one of your questions, and as Stephanie said, there is additional training that will come with that, should we accept the trailer, that will be open to first responder community within Lapeer, so that they're familiar with our equipment, our capabilities, and also more capable of responding.
And then you guys are gonna come up with some sort of agreement, some sort of plan where, you know, if this trailer needs to go out, that you guys have access to one of the buildings and grounds pickups or something along that line to
Yep.
be able to tow it and.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 2 carried.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept the $50,000 RIF grant from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources to allow the completion of the scope of work as identified in the row engineering proposal on the 1.3 mile section of trail in Dryden Township extending from the Dryden Trailhead to Casey Road, and further to authorize the chair, vice chair to sign said agreement.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 3 carried.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Buildings and Grounds / Parks to proceed with the acceptance of the proposal from Creekwood Architects for engineering and architectural services and related to the CMH building at the cost not to exceed $167,750, which includes the $5,000 retainer, in which the retainer will be paid from CMH funding line 649-649-976.010, and further authorize the chair, vice chair to sign said agreement.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 4 carried.
Okay, then we have recommendation to full board to recommend, or to authorize Board of Commissioners to activate and select 3 candidates for the Lapeer County Building Authority.
I'll support.
Any discussion?
Just a question. There's nobody on the authority now that has been inactive for so long, everybody's expired, is that the situation?
Correct.
So under our new appointment procedure, we've got to post the notice and then accept applicants for it. Do you have applicants already that have expressed an interest, or we're looking for people?
This is, isn't it county employees on this one?
Yeah, so, we don't post any notice with this particular one, basically it's just up to the board to select 3 persons they want to be part of the committee. The last time it was the prosecutor, the county treasurer, I believe, the CFO, and the CFO, you don't have to follow that.
So we're not looking for citizen
No.
appointees on this one?
Yeah, you have to pick, as Commissioner Zender says, someone that's part of the governing body.
Okay,
Would be
thank you.
the preferred way to go.
And the purpose of this is why?
Okay, so, we're looking to build a new CMH, building.
Yep.
And we're gonna fund that, or we're gonna do the financing through a bond. In order to do the bond, as far as how we set our regulations from the past, the Lapeer County Building Authority would be the body that's designated or created by the Board of Commissioners, and that would be the body that will do the negotiation and the setup for the bond that will secure the financing for that building.
It's all pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah. It's amazing.
We have motion and support. Any further discussion? And motion number 5, correct?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 5 carried.
Okay, so this is, next one, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the donation of the kayak launch to the DNR and a letter of, and I would like this changed from acceptance to memorandum, be drafted to specify the donation of the kayak launch for the use at Metamora Headley Recreation Area, with the stipulation that if the kayak launch is moved, that it remain in Lapeer County, and to further authorize chair, vice chair to sign the letter of memorandum.
Support.
Any
So,
discussion?
Do you guys want to hear the explanation on this, or does everybody good?
Does this relieve the county of the liability concerns?
Yes.
Okay.
And it keeps it in the county, it actually gets it somewhere where it can be used to actually benefit some people.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 6 carried. Thank you, Commissioner Zunder. Brings us to Personnel Committee, May 23rd, 2024 motions.
All right, I will move, I will move. Oh, I'm on conference zone. May 23rd. I don't. Personnel, okay, I got it, thanks. Thank you. Okay, I will move motion number,
Mr. Ken, just hold on a second. We appreciate your want to participate in the meeting, and you can do that during public time. If you can't keep your comments to yourself while we're trying to conduct business, you're gonna have to leave the boardroom. Is that too much to ask? Okay, thank you.
okay, I will move motion number 1, pursuant to the recommendation of the Personnel Committee to amend the table of organization and authorize animal control to eliminate the current vacant full-time intake coordinator position 404, pay grade 14, and to add 1 additional full-time animal control officer position, pay grade 15, in order to better meet the program's needs and to authorize the posting and filling of said position.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 1 carried.
I will also move motion number 2, pursuant to the recommendation of the Personnel Committee to amend the table of organization for the Animal Control Division to convert the 2 temporary part-time kennel attendant positions to permanent part-time variable hourly kennel attendant positions. Pay grade 13, in order to better serve the department and the public at no additional cost to the county's general fund.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 2 carried.
Okay.
Brings to Personnel Committee motions from June 13th. Sorry, mine says June 13th, but
June
it
27th.
says, yeah, June 13th on the agenda, but
We're ready for the
it's
second
June
number 1.
27th. Say that again.
I'll move that we authorize the Veterans Affairs Department to fill the full-time veteran service officer's position due to an anticipated retirement, and to further authorize overlap training with a new employee for no more than 30 days at a cost not to exceed $10,000.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried.
I'll also make that motion. It has to do with the Veteran Affairs again. That we amend the table of organization, authorize Veteran Affairs Department to add 1 additional full-time veteran service officer, pay grade 16, replace replacing a former veteran service officer funded by another veterans organization to better meet the needs of local veterans in the county.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 2 carried.
Motion number 3, the recommendation of the Personnel Committee to amend the table of organization and authorize the Sheriff's Department to add 2 full-time detective positions at pay grade S8 to the Detective Division to be paid from the Law Enforcement Millage Fund at no additional cost to the county's general fund.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 3 carried.
And then number 5, authorize the Health Department to enter into an agreement with the Senior Community Service Employment Program associated with AARP to provide employment and training to local seniors at no cost to the county, and with the understanding that the program will be responsible for all workers' compensation and liability for the employees.
Support.
Now, Gary, is this a pretty good program?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 5 carried. Brings us to IT Committee.
IT Committee, the June 13th, 2024 IT Committee, item number 1, make a motion to support our motion pursuant to the recommendation of the IT Committee to accept proposal for CNET to continue IT managed services at a monthly rate of $16,107, which is currently what we pay them, for managed services and/or $9,912 for co-managed services for the period of April 1, 2024 through April 1, 2025, with the understanding that the county administrator be authorized to negotiate the rate with CNET for a hybrid IT service plan in coordination with county-funded positions for the future. And further, to authorize the chairman to sign the agreement with CNET.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 1 carried.
Item number 2, pursuant to the recommendation of the IT Committee to approve the attached contract between County of Lapeer and ASI Systems Incorporated, which is Mike Bartley, for managed IT director services for a period of February 1, 2024 through January 31, 2025, and to approve the new rates included in the contract effective retroactively back to February 1, 2024, and to authorize the chairman to sign said contract.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 2 carried. Brings us to ARPA Committee motions.
ARPA Committee, from the June 19th, 2024 meeting, make a motion, which is item number 1, pursuant to the recommendation of ARPA and IT committees to commit up to $147,000 of ARPA funds for the purchase of new accounting software upgrades compatible with the county's general ledger from category 6.1 revenue replacement, and further to authorize the county administrator to proceed with securing an appropriate vendor through an RFP and report back with recommendation.
Support.
Any discussion?
Comment. As I'm sure the chairman will point out, these 3 motions are very interrelated.
Yes.
It's a long overdue situation. We're getting a new accounting software upgrade for the county's general ledger. In my opinion, it's a very wise expenditure of the ARPA funds. It's something that we've needed. We are woefully behind technology-wise on this. So, anyway, I think it's.
I agree 100%, and we've discussed this ad nauseum, so
Yep.
it is a good move.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 1 carried.
Item number 2, pursuant to the recommendation of both ARPA and IT committees to commit up to $76,000 of ARPA funds for the purchase of a new payroll system compatible with the county's general ledger from category 6.1 revenue replacement, and further to authorize the county administrator to proceed with securing an appropriate vendor and report back with a recommendation.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 2 carried.
And finally, item number 3, pursuant to the recommendation of both ARPA and IT committees to commit up to $74,000 of ARPA funds for professional consulting services related to the conversion to the new accounting and payroll softwares, category 6.1 revenue replacement, and further to authorize the county administrator to proceed with securing an appropriate vendor and report back with a recommendation.
Support.
Can you explain that one a little bit, Kevin?
So, we talked about this, so you did a better job of elaborating on this. Would you mind explaining that again?
Yeah, sure. So, doing this conversion, this software conversion, there's no one currently in the county in finance and administration except myself that's actually done this kind of conversion. It's gonna be like intricate as far as on the back end what the finance people will have to do to get this to convert it to match up with our old system to this new system. The software companies do provide service in the conversion process, but they don't go really deep with you. And in our conversations, we decided we would make available funds for a third-party consulting firm to come in and help us with this conversion process. The $74,000 is broken down 2 ways. $50,000 is for the accounting software and $2,000 per month, the 24 is for the payroll. So that's why we are reserving these funds to the side. We should know in 3 to 4 months what this is actually gonna be.
So basically, it's taking existing data and putting into the new system? Is
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
for us layman's terms?
I'm sorry, yes, right. Taking, right, the data from our current system and putting it into the new system. It's not an easy thing. We have an older system, these are newer systems. It's a different coding language, computer-wise, so that's why I figured, let's make these funds available, or I requested, let's make these funds available, so if it gets complicated and we run into a lot of roadblocks, we have the brain trust present to help with that conversion.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
There's a possibility we may not need to utilize these services too.
Sure.
But we have to allocate the
Right,
funds
but
because it's
it's
a
there
very
if we need it, and
complicated conversion over from the system that we have, which is proprietary. We're the only ones that have this private system. Other counties do have private systems or, hybrid systems like we do, but that conversion over to, say, BSNA or to, Paycor for payroll and all that can be very complex, so.
and this is essentially Barclays system.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Any further discussion? So we have motion and support for motion number 3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion number 3 carried. Thank you, Commissioner Isley. Brings us to public hearing, Community Development Block Grant, Chill Grant. We have an RFA.
So if there's any discussion, we're using the revised, correct, Moses? The revised that we got this morning? That's- So I'll make the motion to authorize holding a public hearing at the July 11th Committee of the Whole meeting to accept any public comment related to the CDBG Chill Program application and authorize the county clerk to immediately publish said notice, and further to give the July 11th Committee of the Whole the authority to act on conducting the public hearing and to take any necessary action requiring the CDBG Chill Program application.
Support.
Did I hear support?
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? All
All we're
those in-
doing is setting a public hearing date. This
Correct.
one. Yep.
Yep.
So I don't want, okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. Next Next, we have the presentation of the 2023 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Morning.
My name is Aaron Stevens. I'm a partner with American Stairs. What I passed out this morning with Jackie's help, you have 4 documents. You've got the ACFR, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. The single audit is a smaller bound report. There is a letter that we refer to as the governance letter, and then a presentation. What I'd like to do today is just go through the presentation. If you've got questions on any of the other stuff, I have a copy of it. You can go through those. A couple of general comments that I'd like to make are thanks to the administration and staff, especially the finance department, for their courtesy, cooperation, and assistance. We know we're a disruption to the routine, and then we do appreciate all the help that we received while we were here in the field. Probably took a little longer than most people wanted it to. It was our first year as your auditors. It takes a little while to get to know you, understand your systems and controls and so forth. So we do appreciate the help. What I plan to do is highlight what I think are the key areas of those reports. But if you have questions, you can stop me at any time. We can go through those or save them to the end, whatever your preference is. So on page number 2 of the handout, I have a brief outline or overview. I'd like to highlight a few paragraphs from the independent auditor's report. We'll highlight the government-wide financial statements focusing on governmental activities. Then we'll highlight the general fund with some charts and graphs. We'll talk about the single audit information, and then we'll look forward to upcoming accounting pronouncements that will need to be implemented over the next several years. So the independent auditor's report is presented on pages 16 through 19 of the ACFR, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. And I always like to remind everyone the purpose or objective of an audit is to express opinions on the financial statements. The purpose of an audit is not to detect fraud or give you an opinion on your internal control. And that is because fraud detection, deterrence, and prevention, as well as sound internal control, is management's responsibility. Now, if we find fraud, if we detect fraud or have recommendations on how to improve your internal control, we certainly will share that with you in the form of a written report on internal control. But that report is a byproduct of the audit itself. The purpose of the audit is to express opinions on the financial statements. So starting on page 16 of the ACFR, this is page before that, we have expressed what we refer to as unmodified opinions on your financial statements. And you know that they're unmodified because in that second paragraph on page 16, in our opinion, based on our audit and reports of other auditors, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. That is the important phrase. That is the unmodified opinion. To put that into some perspective, on the slide, I've listed 3 types of opinions that we could express. As I said, we've expressed unmodified opinions, but we could express a qualified opinion. And that might read something like, except for capital assets, except for long-term debt, or some exception to the unmodified opinion. The financial statements are fairly presented. An adverse opinion is when the financial statements are not fairly presented. And then the only other alternative that we have as auditors would be to disclaim an opinion altogether. We couldn't audit your records. So of the options, you have unmodified opinions. That's what you're looking for as a board of commissioners. It is the highest level of assurance that we can provide for a set of financial statements. In the first paragraph on page 17 of the ACFR, we highlight management's responsibilities. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements, and that includes the internal control over that preparation and fair presentation. In the third paragraph on page 17, page number 6 of the handout, we highlight our responsibilities as your auditors, our responsibilities to obtain reasonable assurance, but not absolute assurance, that the financial statements are free from material misstatement and not all misstatement. And we make that distinction because we don't look at every single transaction. We make sample selections, we test transactions, we use that testing to determine what further audit procedures we will perform. But we don't look at everything, and you wouldn't want to pay us to look at everything. So, and then from that, we have a responsibility to issue the independent auditor's report. Your ACFR contains 2 sets of financial statements, or reported on 2 different levels, 2 types of financial statements. You have government-wide financial statements, and then you have fund-level financial statements. Government-wide financial statements are prepared on a full accrual basis of accounting, which means they primarily have a long-term perspective. The only time you see government-wide financial statements is in that annual ACFR. Those aren't prepared on a monthly basis. It is a requirement by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board that in accordance with GAAP, you have to have government-wide financial statements, GAAP being generally accepted accounting principles. So we'll just touch briefly on the governmental activities that are included in the government-wide financial statements. Page number 8 of the handout, there is a statement of net position that is presented on page 32. It is a snapshot as of December 31st, 2023. And a couple of metrics that I like to look at, financial performance indicators, one being the current ratio. That is a measure of liquidity. It answers the question, are you able to pay your bills as they come due? And we calculate that by taking current assets and dividing by current liabilities. Your current ratio as of December 31st is 2.4. So you can cover your obligations almost 2.5 times over as of December 31st. The other metric that I like to look at is more of a long-term perspective, unrestricted net position for the governmental activities divided by expenses. And this answers the question, how long can you operate before you need to generate any additional revenue? So you have unrestricted net position of 16.6 million, you had expenses of 62 million, so 27%, so you could operate for more than 3 months with your existing unrestricted net position. For the statement of activities, page number 9 of the handout, this is your operating statement or income statement, if you will, a little backwards because it does start with expenses. It reads left to right and then top to bottom. For your governmental activities, you had 62 million in expenses, as I said, program revenues of 43 million, so you have a net expense of almost $19 million. You add to that your general revenues. General revenues would include property taxes, state share revenue, sales tax, interest earnings, and so forth. You had general revenues of 23.8 million approximately. So your change in that position for the fiscal year was an addition of $4.8 million. So an excellent year, measured on the full accrual basis of accounting. Governmental fund financial statements are on pages 34 and 36, and governmental fund financial statements are prepared on the modified accrual basis of accounting. So this is a current financial resources focus. What you won't see on the balance sheet on page 34 are those long-term items like capital assets, long-term debt, net pension liability, etc. They're handled differently, they're reported differently under the modified accrual basis of accounting. This should be a more familiar presentation for you because this is the level at which your budgets are prepared. The interim reporting that you get throughout the year is done at the fund level. So I'd like to focus on the general fund. On slide or page number 11 of the presentation, we also have a snapshot of the governmental funds balance sheet as of December 31st. It lists out your assets, your liabilities, your deferred inflows, which are a lot like liabilities, and net of those three equals your fund balance. Your total fund balance for the general fund was $10.2 million as of December 31st. There are 5 potential classifications that we have to break you have to break fund balance down into, listed in the middle of that slide there, and you have amounts in all 5 categories. When I look at the health of the general fund, I take the assigned and unassigned portions and refer to that as unrestricted. You can assign an unassigned fund balance at will. You can make a budget amendment and change that assignment. Management can just make the assignment themselves. But you have, as of December 31st, you had assigned fund balance of $500,000. You had unassigned fund balance in the general fund of just over $5 million. Comparing that to your annual expenditures, which were $10.8 million, and your transfers out to other funds of $10.9 million, that unrestricted fund balance represents 26% of your annual expenditures and transfers out. The GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, recommends that you maintain a minimum fund balance in your general fund that is equal to 2 months of normal operations. 2 out of 12 months is approximately 17%. You're sitting at 26% for the general fund. Excellent financial condition. The 2 months of operations is a minimum, it's not a maximum. You're in a healthy position and doing well. So, page number 12 of the handout, the governmental funds, statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances. Again, like an income statement, focusing on the general fund. Total revenue for the year, $22.9 million. That was an increase of $2.3 million from the 2022 revenue. So about 11% increase. Expenditures of $10.8 million. That was a decrease of $7.6 million, or about 41%. And that was primarily caused by moving the Sheriff's Department into a special revenue fund. So that activity's been moved out into its own fund. But then, in return, you have net transfers out. So other financing sources and uses would be transfers in and transfers out from other funds. Your net transfers out went up to $10.8 million, which was an increase of 8.6. So you exchanged your public safety expenditures for transfers out, in effect. But as I said, you added almost $1.2 million to your general fund balance. In 2022, you used $117,000. To put that, to give you a visual perspective, page number 13 of the handout, I have the past 5 years of activity for the general fund. You added a fund balance in 3 of those years. You added in 2019, 2020, and 2023 when revenues exceeded expenditures. You used fund balance in 2021 and 2022. But that fund balance has been healthy, consistently healthy over the past 5 years. Page 14 is really the same information, just a different look. It's a line graph instead of a bar graph, but you can see that green line represents your fund balance, total fund balance, and as I said, it's been consistently healthy, fluctuating just above and below $10 million in the past 5 years. Page number 15, you have a pie chart detailing the composition of your general fund revenues and other financing sources. Largest source of revenue is, of course, property taxes at 58% for the general fund. In 2022 was 59%. Intergovernmental at 12%. In 2022, that was 13%. Charges for services at 9%, which was 12% in the previous year. So relatively consistent from 22 to 2023. The past 5 years, a trend for the revenues on page 16 of the handout. Again, most significant source of revenue has and probably always will be property taxes. That's the blue line at the top of the graph. The lines below property taxes here, again, relatively consistent. Your investment performance improved significantly from 2022 to 2023. It was negative in 2022, so a good turnaround there. On the expenditure side, page 17 of the handout, pie chart detailing composition. Transfers out to other funds is now the largest component of the general fund budget. So transfers out in 2022 were $2.7 million. Transfers out in 2023 increased to almost $10.9 million. General government follows that at 24%. That was at 25% in 2022, and then judicial was at 19% for 2023, which was 23% in 2022. So, but again, the 5-year line graph on page 18, we already talked about it. You can see the increase in the transfers out, which is that blue line, and then the decrease in the public safety expenditures, which is the green line. Those are the biggest changes there. Page 19 of the handout, detailing the composition of your fund balance. Your restricted fund balance, so the non-spendable, restricted, and committed amounts collectively has been consistent over the past 5 years. Your unrestricted fund balance, which again was assigned and unassigned portions, did increase a bit from 2022 to 2023. And then again, a line graph, it's a lot of the same information, just shown in different ways, but page 20 line graph, keeping in mind that this is in terms of percentages here, and that the GFOA recommends a minimum unrestricted fund balance of 17%. So as you can see, you've exceeded that minimum in each of the past 5 years, both the unrestricted and again, of course, the total fund balance. I know I'm going quickly, so we'll
Perfect pace.
all right, good. I know everybody loves an audit presentation, so.
You're doing great.
Page 21, we'll talk about the single audit schedules and reporting. This is the smaller bound document that was left at your desks there. Because the county spends more than $750,000 of federal awards, an audit performed in accordance with uniform guidance, or a single audit, as we like to call it, is required. It's $750 today. It is increasing to $1 million for federal awards issued after October 1st of 2024. So that probably won't have much of an impact for you for your fiscal year ending December 31 of 2025. I say it probably won't have much of an impact for you because your expenditures are $3 million, your federal expenditures for this fiscal year. So as well. Page 22, the scheduled expenditures of federal awards, which we refer to as the CFA, we like our acronyms, is listed out, scheduled out by assistance listing number, which was formerly referred to as the catalog of federal domestic assistance. So it's a 5-digit number. The first 2 digits represent the federal department, the last 3 digits identify the program. Total expenditures, federal expenditures for the county, just over $3.6 million for this fiscal year. We selected 2 major federal programs to test, the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, the ARPA funding, and then the child support enforcement program. We were required to cover at least 40% of your federal awards. So we picked those 2 programs. Those 2 programs gave us 53% coverage. The other schedule that's required as part of the single audit reporting package is the scheduled findings and question costs. We didn't have any, so that's good news. It's broken down, section 1, summary of auditor's results. Under the financial statements, we'd already talked about the unmodified opinions on the financial statements that we expressed. No material weaknesses were identified, no significant deficiencies, and no non-compliance materials with the financial statements were identified. Under the federal awards, so the single audit testing, again, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, an unmodified opinion on the compliance with your major federal program requirements, and no other findings to be reported. So when you look at that page, and it's page 10 of the smaller report, that's as clean as it gets. We had no findings, unmodified opinions. It couldn't, we're not all that original as auditors. It can't look any better than that, so. Looking forward, back to the ACRA report, pages 83 and 84, note 18 starts on page 83, and there are a number of new accounting pronouncements on the horizon that the county will have to implement, starting with GASB 100. So the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or GASB, they write the accounting rules that all state and local governments have to implement. So this isn't the Michigan thing, it's all state and local governments. GASB 100 on accounting changes and error corrections is effective for the fiscal year that you're in now. And that there's some changes to accounting principles and error corrections and how those are reported going forward. More note disclosure, it's more evident on the face of the financial statements. So some changes coming up there if you have accounting changes or error corrections and how those get handled. GASB Statement 101, also effective for the fiscal year that you're in now. On compensated absences, defines what a compensated absence is, and it requires an analysis of whether the leave time is more likely than not to be used or otherwise paid out. If it's more likely than not to be used or paid out, you have to report a liability. This only affects the government-wide financial statements, your pool of pool funds, your proprietary funds as well. It does not affect general fund reporting. GASB Statement 102 on certain risk disclosures. This requires an assessment of whether a concentration or constraint makes the county vulnerable to risk events that could have an impact on the government, such as a particular vendor going out of business that may have a financial impact on the county. You would have to disclose that in your notes, financial statements. And that's effective for December 31, 2025. And then GASB Statement 103 on financial reporting model improvements. This provides changes to the management's discussion and analysis section of the report, how unusual or infrequent items are reported, changes to proprietary fund financial statement presentation, reporting for major component units, and budgetary comparison information. That's a lot, and that's for the fiscal year ending December 31 of 2026. So a couple of years to worry about that. I sometimes jokingly refer to that note disclosure as the Auditor Employment Act section of my presentation. It'll keep us all busy for the next several years. So I went through that pretty quickly. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I have a question. Our county bond rating is a AA+. Does this have any impact on improving that bond rating at all? It's financial report.
They review the financial statements. The fact, I mean, the health of the county hasn't really changed, right? You've been healthy, so it won't have an impact there. The fact that you didn't have any findings may give you a little bit of a bump, but I mean, I don't value, I'm not a bond rating agency, so I do know they look at the ACRA,
Right.
But you've been doing well, so I'm not sure it's gonna have much of
Do you guys, does your firm audit other counties as well?
Yes.
So our fund balance compared to other counties, you would classify as,
So we probably audit a dozen counties. It's higher than some, lower than others in terms of percentages. Again, I don't know that it's really all that important to compare yourself to other counties. To me, it's important to compare yourself to yourself and your trends, your history. You're probably, in the same range as my other county clients that I audit. 20 to 30% is, obviously 17 is low, right? Or the minimum you should be at. So if you're less than 17, and I've had counties that were lower and now are building back up.
Yep.
So, but you're in great shape financially.
I just want to bring to light, I noticed that the investment earnings significantly increased from 2022 to 2023, and I'd like to give credit to Commissioner Nisley, because the first couple of months that we were in office last year, he brought it to mind to a department head that our return on investment on a few of our bank accounts was significantly low, and raised, I wouldn't call it a fit, but he brought it to light, and then within a couple weeks, I think it went from, maybe you can expand on it, maybe you're.
Well, it was just
1 to
balances in
3%?
our sweep accounts and things like that, where we're getting 1% interest, and, we were able to go back to the bank and ask for more, and Jackie was able to, Dana was able to get our rates up to, as high as 3.8%, 2.9%, somewhere, because they all had different rates. Not really sure how they do that, but it was just significantly low, and, it does make a huge difference, but it makes a big difference when you're talking millions of dollars.
It does, and 2022 was not kind to anyone's investments, really, so,
Right.
But yeah, quite a turnaround there.
Charge you 6% and only give you 1.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Commissioner Hall?
Curious about grant funds. On page 22, you point out that we expended $3.6 million in grant funds during
Federal
the year.
funds, yeah.
I was looking on the revenue side, the chart on page 16, I don't know where to look. It's intergovernmental is one category and other is a category.
So any federal, state, and local grant funding would be under intergovernmental.
Everything,
So
any
there's,
grant money's there.
There's a no disclosure. You like our no disclosure? I don't see it right up top, but yes, intergovernmental, and it's across the county as well, so it would include government, if you had, federal funds and any governmental funds as well as proprietary funds. Typically would not, in the county, have federal funds and a proprietary fund, like your Lincoln tax revolving fund is a proprietary fund. But it's county, it's not just the general fund, it's all of the governmental funds of the county would report intergovernmental revenue.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Good. Thank you. Anything else to add?
No, just my thanks again to the administration and staff. As far as first years go, first year clients, this is awesome, so appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Yep. Commissioner Hagnon?
With the auditor saying how smooth this year went, I just wanted to thank Jackie A. and Jackie B. for everything that you guys do, and Michelle, yeah, I didn't see you sitting there, sorry, Michelle. But all of you, and congratulations on getting, I don't remember the award, but we all got the email about the national award that they got, and the letter from Senator
Peters.
Peters, yes. So congratulations to our finance department.
Absolutely.
Great job. Thank you. Okay. Number 3 would be Sheriff's Department has a request to fill position number 148, which was referred from the June 13th Personnel Committee.
This is a little convoluted, so I'll clear it up the best I can. Back in May, Sergeant Tim McGuckin, who was number 131, resigned from our office, which created a vacancy at the sergeant level. So we knew we were gonna be promoting a sergeant, But when we came to personnel 2 weeks ago, we didn't know who that person was going to be because we were in the middle of our promotional process. We have a applicant for deputy who's an outstanding candidate that we really don't want to lose, and in today's environment, it's pretty competitive. So now that we've identified Sergeant Ed Gaines as the deputy that's getting promoted, we have identified it's number 148 as the deputy position that we would like to fill with this new applicant that we've got. I hope I cleared that up.
Commissioner Zender.
Clear as mud.
I know.
Okay, run that by us
Okay,
one
so-
more
so
time.
Sergeant McGuckin was number 131. He resigned in May. That opened the sergeant's position. Deputy Gaines, who got promoted to sergeant, is now moving from 148 to 131, which is opening employee number 148, which is a deputy position up, so that we can fill.
So Gaines is filling the original sergeant
Correct.
position, and now since Gaines leaving,
His
we have to
deputy
fill that
position.
position. Okay.
Yeah. We're just backfilling one position.
Yeah.
And are we bringing them in at a higher rate, or?
If I remember correctly, I don't have that information for me, I think it was at 11.
Because I think that's why we referred it to the full board
Correct.
instead of passing it out of personnel. Like I told you and Commissioner Zender, it's been, my brain's a little mush, so I apologize, but that is my understanding of the situation while
It
we're
was
here
11, I
today,
believe
yes.
It was at 11.
Yes, so I
Yeah,
will move
it's
it.
Step one, because of the candidate's 3+ years of experience for the position of corrections officer. Step one.
And I did move it.
Support.
So where is this person currently working?
Genesee County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And you're bringing him over to, as a corrections officer?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have, thanks.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Odette. Brings us to number 4, audit motions. County's audit motions for May 31st, June 14th, and 28th, 2024. And the road commission audit motion for disbursements dated May 30th, June 13th, and June 27th. And June 27th, 28th to be distributed at the meeting. We do have. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the audit motions for May 31st, June 14th, June 28th, 2024, and the road commission's audit motions for May 30th, June 13th, and June 27th, 2024.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion carried. Brings us to number 5, administration to authorize payment to the Kelly firm.
I'll move to authorize payment to the Kelly firm.
Support?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion's carried. Brings us to notice of expired terms. Do we have any recommendations from A to F? I know we have some for G. If not, we'll go right to G. We're at G.
Okay, we're down to G. I'll move that we appoint Christina Russell to the Community Mental Health Board for a term expiring March 31, 2027.
Support.
Any discussion?
I just would like to make one comment. There was 3 applicants for this position, and I think all 3 of them were very qualified to fill this position. I was pleasantly surprised to see that. For the two other applicants that did not get this today, please don't be offended or, let down, because we would very, very much like you to, apply again in the future, because, like I say, there was some really good applicants. I'd just like to make that statement.
And I agree, and I forget his first name, but I call him Bachman Turner Overdrive because that's his last name is Bachman. I told him I'd like to see him reapply next year.
Like I say, both of them were I think,
Mark, thank you.
great candidates, so, like I say, would love to see them back in the future.
I would echo Commissioner Zender's comments, even though I made the motion to appoint Ms. Russell. We do have three good candidates, and I'm not at all implying the other two aren't well qualified. And luckily, this is a board that has a number of members, and three appointments come every year, so there'll be opportunities for them to serve in the future if they're still interested.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion carried.
Congratulations,
Congratulations,
Christina, you
Ms.
got
Russell.
a whole bunch more work now.
Okay, we don't have any additional items. Brings us to ad hoc committee updates. Pretty sure there are none. Brings us to our second public time. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak during the second public time? Okay.
No, what just occurred, and I think justified my frustration. We had a commissioner who was here the first time the trailer was explained. You have to hand vice chair the cliff notes so he can read what he's supposed to read from the script. And you're upset because I'm frustrated about, you can demand all the respect you want because you're sitting there with the badge and the gavel, and that's all well and good. But remember, in November, you have to earn the respect that you demand. And I would like to thank the board, because sitting here has allowed me to add something to my curriculum vitae, and that is scatologist. And if you don't know the word, I know Gary can explain it, I know Moses can explain it. If not, there's a lexicographer's inventory in the upstairs library. That is a dictionary. It's been shown to you guys before.
Anyone else like to speak during the second public time? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna close the second public time. Brings us to commissioner reports. Commissioner Howell?
Mine will be exceptionally brief. It's really a follow-up. As everybody knows, we are working toward the final agreement with the other three counties in the thumb on the recycling program. You approved the motion today to name the Board of Commissioners as the deciding body. The other counties have done the same. We are now awaiting a draft. We've had, I think, a couple indicate they've already approved. So hopefully, maybe by the next meeting, we'll be able to bring an actual agreement in. And that's my entire report.
Thank you.
I just want to say congratulations, Christina. I look forward to serving on the CMH board with you. And then secondly, tonight, I'm going to be, not that any of you care, but it's in my district, so I'm going to talk about it. There is a new store/restaurant that opened downtown Lapeer. It's called Cherries Market, LLC. It's owned by a local resident, actually downtown resident, Jeanette Ozentowski. I look forward to checking that out for the first time tonight and seeing what that's all about. So with that, give it to you,
You guys
Commissioner.
are quick. You guys are quick. So, the Bolsheviks in Lansing really laid it on us last night in the middle of the night when we were all sound asleep. Commissioner Howe can confirm that, because I think we're all concerned about what they did. They raided the Teachers Pension Fund to create more government programs. this carnage just continues, and it's gonna get worse in lame duck here at the end of the year. Recently, they've, the governor's budget recommended $2.6 million for the implementation of the new red flag gun laws and other gun laws too. And then also an additional $1.8 million in grants for community-based organizations that provide training and programming related to the implementation of it. God knows what that means, but brace yourself. I mean, these are unconstitutional. They don't care. Your senators and Congress or legislators in Lansing will tell you that they're openly just saying that they know it's unconstitutional, but they're going to do it anyway, and that's exactly what they're doing. On June 17th, the House passed House Bill 4744, which makes using somebody's wrong pronouns punishable by a fine and jail sentence. It makes it a felony. The fine's up to $10,000. It's just crazy stuff that a year, 2, 3 years ago, it was just unimaginable that this would ever even be discussed, let alone become a part of a legislative process that ends up getting all the way through the legislature, right along party lines at the governor's desk, and she's going to sign it. We are closely approaching the $35 trillion mark in the fiscal operating debt. We're currently standing this morning at $34.8 trillion. And, our unfunded liabilities have risen now to $216.76 trillion. On the fiscal operating liability debt, we are going to add $2 trillion to that budget deficit by the end of the year, and we're also paying over $1 trillion interest on that debt. The Treasury's printing $1 trillion every 100 days, $3.65 trillion a year of printed money, fiat currency. Unsustainable. As our Social Security liability stands now at $27 trillion, and our Medicare liability stands at $41.4 trillion. The liability per citizen in our country is $642,701. That's all I got to say. And congratulations, Christina, and thank you everybody in the room for coming today. Appreciate it. Everybody have a great day.
Yep, I just want to thank Christina for stepping forward, and the other two candidates, as Commissioner Zender said, everybody was qualified, and it wasn't an easy decision. And thank you to everyone else who stepped forward to be on other boards and committees that we've needed to fill vacancies. Thank you everyone for coming out, and thank you to everyone to the search and rescue team. Obviously they've left, but that was a big accomplishment in the county. It was very exciting to have that child recovered. So just thank you to them and everybody else who volunteers their time and without any kind of awards or recognitions or compensation. So that's all I have.
I would also like to say congratulations to Ms. Christina. Appreciate you wanting to step up and serve. And to the member of the public, as far as fumbling, losing track of my agenda, I apologize, I'm human, please forgive me. I'll try not to do that next time, so just wanted to set that out there. In Emily City, tomorrow and Saturday is the Lavender Festival over in Emily City in my district, so if anybody's interested in lavender, please stop by and check out the Lavender Festival. One other thing I have is another little insert from the Common Sense. I read out of it 2 weeks ago, and I want to just do a little bit of that again because I think it's worth speaking about this stuff in public, talking about all the stuff going on in Lansing and the things that are coming our way that are unconstitutional. Our system of government is built in a way that we, the people, have control of it. I don't think a lot of times we are aware of the control we have, but this really jumped out at me when I read through this, and it's short. I won't take too much time, but I just want to read this. The power and purpose of our jury system. Jury nullification of law was built into our form of government to make sure that laws are approved by the people of a community before being enforced on them. The Constitution provides 5 separate tribunals with veto power: the House of Representatives, the Senate, the executive agencies, the judiciary, and the jury. Each enactment of law must pass muster in all 5 bodies before it gains authority to punish those who choose to violate it. Thomas Jefferson said, "I consider trial by jury as the only anchor yet imagined by man by which a government can be held to the principles of its constitution. Before our jury system devolved to what we have today, juries had the right to judge both the law itself as well as the facts. Our country's first Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, John Jay, is quoted saying exactly that in 1789. Also, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Chase in 1796 and Oliver Wendell Holmes in 1902 are quoted saying the same words. The jury has the power to judge both the law and the facts. Harlan F. Stone, 12th U.S. Supreme Court Justice in 1941, said, "The law itself is on trial quite as much as the cause which is to be decided." In the state of Georgia versus Brailsford, the finding was you have a right to take upon yourself to judge both and to determine the law as well as the fact in controversy. Almost every jury in the country today is falsely instructed by judges when they are told they must accept the law as it is given to them by the court, and that the jury can only decide upon the facts of the case. If people acting in the name of government are permitted by juries to dictate any law whatsoever and determine what evidence is admissible or inadmissible, which is generally conviction-orientated evidence, then the whole truth is prevented from being considered and the issue of fact becomes virtually irrelevant. Part of the problem lies with the misconception that any statute passed by legislatures bearing the appearance of law constitutes the law of the land. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any statute, to be valid, must be in harmony. It is impossible for a law in disharmony with the Constitution to be valid. Congress can legislate, make law. The president or some other bureaucrat can make an order or issue regulations, and judges may instruct or make a decision, but a juror cannot be punished for voting not guilty. Any juror can choose to disregard the instructions of any judge or attorney in rendering their vote. Thus, those acting in the name of government must come before the common man to get permission to enforce a law. Common sense tells us that when government denies juries the power to decide what facts, law, and evidences are applicable, juries cannot be a protection to the accused and true justice is denied, leaving us with trial by government and not trial by jury. Some say the Constitution is outdated. We ask, what parts of the Constitution may that be? Is it the part protecting our right to freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of the press? Is it the Fourth Amendment that allows us to be secure in our homes? Could the right to trial by juries of our peers be outdated? Perhaps it's the Second Amendment, securing the people's right to keep and bear arms. Is it true that the right to keep and bear arms, which, according to Thomas Jefferson, is the last defense against tyranny and government, is no longer necessary in modern America? I think that's worth reading and rereading a few times over. The common man in this country is a stakeholder in this country. We're all citizens of this country, and we have a constitution that limits our government. And everything that a government does has to fit within the parameters of that constitution, or else it's null and void, not valid. And they have to come, if someone gets convicted of a law, and they have a jury of their peers deciding their fate, those jurors should be able to examine whether that law fits within the parameters of that constitution or not. Otherwise, the government can do whatever they want. They can deny us our right to speak, our right to protect ourselves, our right to travel. They can restrict us however they deem fit. And if we buy the idea that they get to decide and we don't, then I guess we'll find out where that goes. But again, common sense number 2. Look it up, read it. It's a very good reading. So just want to encourage everybody to think about these things and remember that we are built on a system that protects us from those in, not necessarily those in power, but it protects the powerless from the powerful. That's what our system was designed to do. So that's all I have.
Hey, again, congratulations, Christina. Thank you for stepping up and doing that. Jackie and the whole finance department, thank you for what you guys do. We know you work hard at it, and we appreciate it. Your comment on the Lavender Festival, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just so everybody knows.
3 days. Okay.
3 days. Friday 12 to 6, Saturday 10 to 6, and Sunday 10 to 4. So, everybody have a safe and good 4th of July, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
I just want to echo some of the sentiments, thanking our first responders and the search and rescue team that found the child okay, and the search dog that they used. It's just amazing what trained animals can do. They're very helpful in many things, searching for bombs, drugs, children. Animals are amazing. They do a lot of things. My own dog tilts his head and barks at lightning and thunder. And then you got great animals that are trained to find kids and things like that. So I support our first responders and our search and rescue, and they're a wonderful asset to this county. And I'm glad that they're here and are able to help when we need them as a community. Thank our Jackie and our team here that keeps our finances in order and on track. And I want to thank our Veterans Affairs Department. They've served over 1,000 veterans. That is amazing. We have a lot of veterans in this county, and they deserve our support and our help. And also this Saturday, as I'm the chair of the broadband committee, I am attending an open house for Northern Broadband. Looking forward to meeting with them and learning more about their plans as companies come in and expand internet in the county, which is sorely needed here. So I'm looking forward to that. And everybody just have a safe and happy 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Administrator, Chief Financial Officer updates, anything?
I do have something to say. Well, very good. Yeah, I never do. I just want to thank all the accounting personnel throughout the county, their supervisors and department heads. You work with finance every day. Without your cooperation, we wouldn't have this report. We would have no audit exceptions. We appreciate you every day. Jeff, Stephanie, all you guys, thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I want to also say thanks to the finance department that I see every day. We share a wall and a door, and we work together. I did say to Jackie, after I was here for maybe 3 months or so, I complimented her team as being very strong, and that's credit to her. She's the leader of that team. Also, they've made my job a lot easier, because my concern was when I arrived, I told you, you've heard me say this a few times, you're probably like sick of it, but I said, I was really grateful that when I got here, I realized there was a strong finance team, and I didn't feel compelled to jump in and try to fix it. So I really appreciate that, and this like audit report says a lot about your product and the hard work you guys do, so thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,